What up, Eagle Talk fam?
What's up, y'all? Happy almost New Year.
Happy almost 2023.
That's
oh my
crazy.
Goodness.
We all going to talk Michael Jordan year this year.
Oh my gosh. Michael Jordan year. But you know what? I'm thinking 2023. Corey, can you believe, like, I know it's hard for you to believe, but we have almost been knowing each other for 30 years.
We old.
You can talk about yourself, Obama year. I'm still in my Jackie Robinson year.
That's all right. That's all right.
If y'all don't know what we're talking about, y'all got to follow us on social. We have all of these funny things about what the year of birth we're in. I'm 42, so that's Jackie Robinson year because he was number 42.
I'm 44, and now I'm in my Obama year.
He's in his, which he about to go to his Trump year. Yeah. But anyway.
It's all good. So I don't even want to do no check-in because I want to get down to what we want to talk about. Which
Wait, hold on, Corey.
No. Because we like this, right? Remember when we were kids? And on WGCI, they used to do the countdown of the song
of the year.
Yeah.
Yes, I loved it on GCI. I loved it. Y'all remember back in the day? I mean, if you were pre like maybe 1990 birth, you probably don't know about this. But like, is BET still on TV?
Yeah.
Okay, so BET, VH1, all of these music shows,
MTV,
they would do like a best of year, and it honestly they used to count down 100, and then like it was started like 12 noon, the best videos of the year all the way to number one, and then number one to be like Tevin Campbell. You like, nah, I know Tevin Campbell wasn't supposed to be number one, but anyway,
like, not Jodeci.
But anyway, but I loved watching them, and Corey and I like, well, maybe because we're a couple days away from 2023, let's do a best and worst of the year.
Okay. Where you want to start? I'm thinking.
You thinking?
Yeah.
So let's start with the worst. Like what? So full disclosure, y'all, we have been every year. Like we breathing, we moving. You know, so we are blessed, right? Yeah. Like you are blessed. But if we're honest, and I think that it's a good time. Like a lot of people are reflecting. It's a good time to kind of reflect on, okay, what went well. What didn't go so well, and what can I learn from both experiences moving forward. And so let's talk about some of our things. Like we're gonna be reflective with y'all. So what's some of your worst, baby? One of your worst.
One of the worst is I said last year I wanted to finish this year with 100 doors, and I was rolling. I think I started the year with, I don't know, somewhere in the high 20s. I'm at 47 right now, partly because we vacation too much. Which
so that's something we learned this year. We gonna cut it down
this year, right? Okay. Not necessarily a bad thing, but I mean, you got it to work. You need to be at work, right? Yeah. But also interest rates.
Yeah,
interest rates stalled my business as far as the rental side.
And what made sense to get into,
right. And I have a very particular product that I'm buying right now, which is 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath or more, bricks, right? Yeah. And I get them, but if the prices don't work the way I want them to work for my portfolio, then I just sell them.
Yeah. So
the ones that I was getting just didn't make sense when the interest rate went from 3.5-4% to 8%.
Yeah.
So I had to slow down on buying, switch my criteria. I mentioned in an episode or two before that I do have an Airbnb, but we just recently studied a couple, 20 years old, by the way, that are making 7 figures a month in the Airbnb space. So I've been spending a little bit of time kind of just figuring that out and what I want that to look like. But that's one of the things. It's not really a worst, but it's something that I had.
It was a goal that you had that you didn't hit.
Yeah. I had higher expectations for my rental count by the end of the year.
Yeah. And you know what? I think that even though that's quote unquote one of the worst things that happen, sometimes because we have been there before where you have just, even though the writing was on the wall that maybe we needed to slow down or retain cash, like we have been there and we shared in 2 episodes ago, episode number 87, we shared how we ended up being upside down and had to pivot to a different business with the last recession. Yeah. And I think in part of that, you kept going when you probably should have slowed down. And now your buying is picking back up, but that was something that you learned from.
Yeah, well, you've had price dips in the market now. You're still battling the interest rates, but you just got to buy cheaper for it to make it work.
Yeah. So one of the worst things that happened to me, y'all, this year is y'all know how Craig got fired on his day off. I got fired on vacation. So it's not funny. But what had happened is, long story short, after my mom passed away, I just really didn't feel like myself, and I should have taken some time away, pulled away from the business. Gratefully, I had a team. My team was established. The Rosemary Lewis Group was established this year. Side note, y'all looking to buy or sell some real estate in Far North Dallas, we got you, right? We will hold you down. But I had a team in place, but I still wanted to do it all, like still move at the capacity in which I was used to. Although this very, I experienced something very traumatic in the losing of my mom. So long story short, I'm not gonna make excuses for myself. I'm gonna say that my communication was not at the level of where it needed to be. And I politely got on a plane and got an email from a client like, thanks, but no thanks. Right. Okay. And that was devastating. Like, I will say that there was some feedback that I had given the client that, like, what they were mad about wasn't my fault, but the way I communicated afterwards definitely was not up to par with the way that I communicate. And my clients know that I'm big on communicating with them and making sure that they understand that I'm an advocate every step of the way. And just because I was in my own grief bubble, I didn't do that. So that was hard for me to quote unquote get fired. But what that told me is that what you need to do is, if you're not going to give A1 service, you need to step back and give yourself some time to heal, which is what I did. But in the moment, that firing, and I'm here to tell people, like, I sell a lot of real estate, like tens upon tens of thousands of dollars of real estate. I'm sorry, millions of dollars of real estate each year. And I got let go. And that kind of, that hurt my ego a little bit. But I think it was God's way of getting my attention to say, no, I need you to take care of you and not keep pushing because your capacity looks different.
Yeah, well, I mean, that always comes down to, what did you learn, right?
That's what I learned.
You openly admitted that you learned something there. My next worst is probably losing my friend Arthur Cox. We went to Miami in April, and he had a heart attack in May. And this is weird, man, because I've known him 25 years. Just a really good friend, solid friend. And the last night in Miami, me and him, it was just me and him in the backyard till about 3-4 in the morning, just talking. And that just kind of made it, when I got the text message or the phone call, that just made it a little weird, know, because that was our last conversation. It was almost like it was intentional for us to have this time.
Yeah.
And it's puts a lot on your mind when you lose somebody close to you. But that was the worst for me, for sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And just piggybacking off of that, I just feel like 2021, really since 2020, there has just been a lot of loss around us and our family.
Yeah.
And for me, one of the worst things was grief. Grieving not only my sister, who passed away in June of 2021, my mom passed away in December of 2021, but then their losses unearthed previous losses, right? But I still have commitments. I'm still mom, I'm still wife, I'm still team leader. And the worst of that was just really giving myself time to sit in it. It was uncomfortable, or it still is. Like, I'm not over it. I will never be over it, by the way. But giving myself the space to sit in it and still show up when I need to, and learn to rest when I needed to do that. But it just feel like every time I look up, there was something else, like once we are moving forward, then Art passed away, or, you hear that one of my good friends was diagnosed with breast cancer, and, you're just concerned about her family and all of these things, even though they, from the outside looking in, I could say they were the worst, but also as a blessing, because it just showed me the fragility of life and why we get this one life to live. So we have to go for it. For whatever go for it means for you. Yeah,
so let's get one more worse, and I want to get to the best.
Yeah, because
we gotta get off this worst. So I give a simple one. We did an episode on it, and it was my worst investment of the year.
Oh, well, there's that.
I lost $30,000 on a house I bought in Tyler. That was a hoarder's house. And here's the thing: would I do it again? Yeah, I would. Am I seasoned enough not to have made a mistake that big? Yeah, because I saw all of the warning signs. Right, I knew the house was hoarded. Couldn't get in, couldn't get interior. It was just some things that I should have fought for to happen before I funded. Because if I would have the way I think of it now, if I at least would have got any inkling of what the inside looked like, I could have got a reduction. So it was the price I agreed to with no photos. Again, I lost 30 grand on the deal. It was just a nightmare. And I've been in the business way too long to be losing that kind of money on one transaction. So that was probably the worst. I definitely had egg on my face after that deal, but it's okay.
A little bit. And I'm going to say ditto. Like that's my worst one. It's just, the thing is that you can get, one of your mentors once said, once you think you got it, you just lost it, right?
Yes, he did.
And you can get so, for lack of better words, cocky about what you're doing that sometimes you miss all the steps and do your due diligence. Yeah. And we have to learn from those mistakes. So yeah, I would say that that's one for me too. Just, some investments not panning out the way that we thought they would, but that's because when I look back, it's like, okay, but we didn't really do our due diligence the way we normally do. Yeah. So that was that.
All right. So flipping this around to our
flip it.
I can give you one, and it's not the best time or thing or whatever. One of the best things in this year was hiring Kim.
Yeah.
You think I was gonna say that, did you? It was definitely hiring
Check out
Kim.
our episode from last week.
Yeah, that was it's a game changer, man, because I'm from I can do it alone or not really trusting people, or even getting to know people, right? To know what skill sets they have. But that was, you brought the conversation to the table. Kim agreed, and we have just took this Eagle Talk thing and Team Lewis to the next level. So Kim was definitely one of the biggest for me of this year.
So then I would dare to say reading the book Who Not How, we always talk about it, was the best, because it puts you in the mindset of saying, hey, we need a who, because you will drive yourself crazy trying to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish on your own. Yeah. Well, a best for me, let me think. There have been so many good things. So this is going to sound crazy because I just said it was the worst, but grief has been the best thing for me this year. Grief has been good for me because it has allowed me to experience God in a way that I've never experienced him before. And this is coming from someone who was pretty much born into grief. So those of you on the podcast, Corey and I have kind of talked about it a little bit, but I've lost a lot of people really close to me in my life. When I was born, 9 months before I was born, my sister Cecilia died from cancer. She was 17. When I was 8 years old, my sister Rotanza was 29. She passed away from breast cancer. My brother Kovan was murdered when I was 14. My other brother passed away when I was 15. The next day, my sister passed away from a brain aneurysm. So that's 5 people really close to me, on top of like a couple aunts that I really love, and then my sister and my mom in 2021. So all of that really came to a surface because the common thread of my life, even though I experienced a lot of grief, was my mama. And then to lose her in the way that it happened, it was both the most beautiful and heartbreaking experience of my life. But now this year, the latter part of the year, I'm getting to the side of really embracing the beauty of it. And what grief has taught me is that as much as I love my husband, as much as I love Eagle Talk, as much as I love my team and what we're building, my hope can't be in any of these things that are temporary. It has to be in Jesus. And grief has taught me those very hard lessons. And there have been many a day where I go from crying to laughing to what's wrong with you, I'm like, my mama did, and not making light of it, but just really embracing it and going at it head on to say, okay, well, what lessons can I learn? And what I've learned is that grief is the cost of love. And I agree. I get to grieve this way. And I get to know Jesus in this way because he allowed me to experience love in that way. So that has been more of a blessing than it was a curse.
Okay. If I can give a best for me, it would be when we went to Martha's Vineyard.
Okay.
And I'm gonna tell you why. Martha's Vineyard is an amazing place. It's difficult to get over there because you gotta go on a ferry from Boston. But so much culture, so much history. I love history, so I studied the whole island when I was there. But one thing in particular that still stands out to me is the Inkwell.
The Inkwell. Yeah, the Inkwell Beach.
Yeah. So the Inkwell Beach, and this you can YouTube, it's actually a pretty phenomenal story, is a place that when we came over as slaves, that the only place that we were allowed to visit or vacation.
Yeah.
And if you turn right behind that beach, there's a row of just big houses. I guess you would call them mansions at the time. One in particular was owned by a very wealthy African American male from Brooklyn, businessman. And back in the day, he had high profile friends.
Yeah.
And on this balcony of his house is where Martin Luther King wrote the I Have a Dream speech, at least some of it.
Yeah.
So I remember just being on that beach and just soaking it in, like, man, I cannot believe like what happened here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just a really I don't even what word won't downplay it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it was just enlightening to
enlightening is downplaying it.
Okay.
No, for real, because I had a moment there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, can you imagine like the only place that we
African
could go?
Americans
Yeah,
can
you know
be,
what I mean?
right.
And then for something that monumental to happen, like right across the street where we were vacationing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that was a real big moment, and not only for me, but that I had the whole family there.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a me and you trip.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Our boys were there to experience it with
so
us.
that was a good time of 2022.
So here's one of the best things for me. And this year I learned to stop and think.
Yep.
I think that we naturally, and not even an entrepreneur, like in my teacher life, right? I'm naturally a doer. Like I want my hands to be moving. I was doing stuff with my kids, my students, and then now I'm a realtor. I'm showing, I'm doing this, I'm moving, I'm creating. And I joined a mastermind, and like this conversation, and y'all get it for free, but I paid some dollars for this. She shared with me, like, Rosemary, you get paid to think. You need to give yourself the space and the time to think. And I know that a lot of times we reach burnout because we're just going. We wonder why our creative juices aren't flowing, or why we're not feeling joy in what we're working on. And it's because so many times we just don't still ourselves and get quiet. And this year I have had a lot of time to do that, both forcefully, like when I was fired, it was kind of the Lord saying, okay, because I need you to sit your butt down and talk to me.
Yeah.
Right. And I need you to sit down, and maybe not even like, I already know what's going on. Just shut up and just sit here and let me drop things in your spirit and in your heart. And just really giving myself permission to be still, just to think, to contemplate, to remember, to experience. It has been a game changer, and I just feel like I have more clarity in my life, not just in business, but in my life. I just have more clarity as I give myself time to sit and think. So that is, that sounds so minute, but that's a huge lesson that I learned this year that I'm definitely taking into 2023 and beyond.
Yeah, I like that. I've definitely spent a lot of time learning to think myself this year. I'm gonna give you two real quick.
Okay, go for it.
One of them is a big one, but the second one is bigger than the big one.
Okay,
if that makes sense.
Go for it, baby.
The big one is we were able to buy the kids' houses. They're 6 doors away from each other. Corey's house is pretty much complete. We have a tenant in place. My youngest son's house will be done next week. I literally put a for rent sign in front. I probably get 2 or 3 calls a day, so that one's gonna be easy to rent. But just the fact that I remember in January saying I wanted to end the year with the kids having 2 properties of their own, and being able to get that done is a badge of honor, right? The bigger one than that is I recently got back from the Warriors conference.
Yeah.
And I am a member of it's called the Word Connection. We do it on University of North Carolina's campus, head by Mr. Joseph Cooley High. Did you know his middle name was Cooley?
Cooley, yeah. I saw some.
It was pretty dope. But he brings us together pretty much once a year. And it's bigger than a mastermind. It's only 20 of us in the room. And just to kind of give you, I won't name their companies, but I'm in the room. I'm the smallest guy in the room. Let me start there. And this guy's like VPs of Fortune 500 companies. One guy got up and was like, yeah, I'm vice president of a particular company. It's a $180 billion company. Next guy had Dave Ramsey as a mentor. One guy was the president of a $13 billion company. We have brokers in the room. It's real spiritual, real emotional, but Mr. High forces you to dig.
Yeah.
And I mean dig on every level. I'm talking about conscious about your health and not just say, hey, you know, I'm going to eat more greenery. He's like, no, you need to know your numbers.
Yeah.
You need to know your resting heart rate. You need to know your calorie intake. You need to know your what did Tish just do for me the other day?
Yeah. Blood pressure.
My blood pressure.
Yeah.
You know, and just different things about health, about business, about relationships, about people. And then he hits you in the head with the spiritual side. Mm-hmm. Because every day he's starting with worship music. We're praying throughout the day. I took 10 pages of notes in 48 hours. And that is something that the first time I went was heavy, but this time it really left a stain on me. Like you can't shake it. It's in you, it's ingrained in you, and it's something that you just never forget when you go through things like that. And I was talking to somebody the other day in the gym about it, and I was trying to sum it up, and I was like, well, if you want to see 20 grown men cry for 2 days straight, this is where I just left, yeah. Right? But it was in a good way.
Yeah,
know?
In a good way.
Yeah.
Like just really, so, you know, just being, and I'm just so proud of you because this is not like normal.
Total not my
yeah,
thing.
It's not like you did not grow up with these type of experiences. No. Even like going to like church, revival service at church.
Yeah.
So to be in a space where first of all you're open and you're not guarded, mm-hmm. but you can even have your year in review and say, and a lot of men, like if you a man, you need to hear that, like because a lot of men, like I know one thing that I love is that y'all talk about woundedness and baggage and mm-hmm. so many things that men carry mm-hmm. that they feel like they have to carry alone because I can't be honest with anybody about what's really going on in my heart.
Yeah. But definitely probably the biggest growth of this year is going to that conference. And I'm happy, you know, and thank you for saying that because I'm definitely, years ago, I'm straight on that, you know, but now I understand that that's what I need. Yeah. And I understand that that's something that people I can just kind of reach out to that are now on my network and can pour into me and I can pour into them. So
I'm going to end on this one. My last one that I would say is the best is that this year, and I think that it's because, you know, God has allowed us to see a lot of both great things and not so great things. A lot of our dreams have come true. So this year, I think we really had an opportunity, or I know I have, is just to see like what is at work in me is even bigger than me. Mm-hmm. And one of the best things has been whether it's being fully transparent about my grief process or, you know, helping someone or popping up on social. You know, I started the Real Estate Bestie podcast to encourage other people who might throw in the towel to say, no, like, sis, you can do this. Like if we could do it, or if I could do it, you can. So one of the best things for me is to just really be in this place of obedience, right? And there have been a lot of areas in life this year where God has asked me to be obedient, from writing a book about my mom to taking time off work, you know, things that I know that I was resistant with, but I can see how not only is he freeing me from some things by my obedience, but giving me a testimony to go out and share with others. Yeah. And whether that's from this platform or just somebody I might meet in Walmart, I'm just so grateful for all of the different opportunities that we just get to just really kind of be like, hey, we whack. Yeah. Like we whack, we raggedy. Like we done been through recessions, we done been through death, we done been through all this. But you know, truly the Lord is the reason that we're able to do what we're able to do. And I'm just grateful to be in that space that with everything that has happened, that we're coming out faith stronger. Not because everything is perfect, you know, not because there aren't some tough days, but because you can see that, okay, this work is bigger than me. It's bigger than my happiness. It's bigger than my wealth. It's bigger than my success. It's really about glorifying him and doing that through telling our story and being open, which is why we do a lot of the things that we do.
So that's our 2022 recap
Yeah, and we want to know your best and worst, right? Yeah. So like if you are watching on YouTube, like what's something that you could say, you know what, this, and even think about our worst, like they were the worst, but we learned from them. Mm-hmm. So put it in comments, like let us know, leave a review, just sharing. And if you know somebody who just needs to be encouraged, even to see their worst times and see how they have grown and learned from it, hit that share button and just share this podcast episode with somebody. Yeah, well, we are wishing you guys a very happy new year. Yeah. We have a masterclass coming out on the 5th. Yes, January 5th. There is still time to register. We have a few slots left, and it's all about how to recession-proof your life. So make sure that you check that out at eagletalkpodcast.com/masterclass. Yeah, we want to thank y'all for tuning in, and we'll see y'all in the new year. See you in the new year. Happy New Year, y'all. Peace, y'all. Bye.